Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this, which is the Boss Waza Tube Amp Expander. I own a few of these Loadbox attenuators. I've got the Universal Audio Aux, I've got the 2 Notes Torpedo Studio, and I've also got the Boss Waza Tube Amp Expander. Now, what I tend to do with the Tube Amp Expander is I tend to use it live, but ever since I've been doing these videos where I'm trying to sort of find the ultimate high-end amplifier, I've been using the Tube Amp Expander and I've been really impressed with the results. Now, all of the different Loadbox attenuators have different pluses and minuses, but for me, the Tube Amp Expander is the one that's the most versatile. I'm going to go through the features of the Tube Amp Expander and explain why they're different to the other attenuators. On the left-hand side of this unit, you can actually control how the reactive load reacts to your amplifier. Now, I find this 2-Rock classic reverb signature a little bit bass heavy, especially when it's going through the closed back 1x12 cabinet. But what you can do with this is to really shape your sound so it doesn't become too boomy or become too harsh or too dull or not enough bottom end. It is a subtle thing, but it's quite noticeable when you're on a stage when the volume's up and it's really loud. But let me just play with the controls and I'll explain what they do. So first of all, you've got your resonance control. Now this controls the amount of low frequencies. Now this is all changeable depending on what amp you've got plugged in, but if you've got like a boomy amp, or if you're in a stage where there's quite a lot of bottom end, you can really tame it just by dragging back this control. Now if I turn it up, I don't know if that's going to come across on YouTube, but that's let a load of the bottom end back in. Now it's a little bit too much for me, so I just notch it back one. Next is the presence control. Now with this, you can decrease the amount the reactive load reacts to the high end of the amp and increase it to let some more presence through. And again, I like it one notch back. The thing that really sets this apart to other units is the way that the effects work. Now on the Universal Audio Aux and on the 2 Notes Torpedo Studio, the 2 Notes Torpedo Studio is slightly different because you don't really get extra effects. You do get like a room simulation sort of sound. But say on the Universal Audio Aux, when you engage the reverb and the delay, that only comes out of the line outs. It doesn't go to your speaker cabinet. What you can do with the Boss Tube Amp Expander is to send those reverbs and delays to your speaker cabinet. I'll turn off the reverb on the 2-Rock. And let's turn the delay off as well. And then I can set the amount of reverb that I want for that particular stage or that particular night on the front of the Tube Amp Expander. And then I can bring in my delays on the Tube Amp Expander. Again, that's going to be coming through my speaker cabinet and through the line outs by pushing the effects button. Another thing that's different on the Boss Tube Amp Expander that's different to the other attenuators is it's got an effects loop built in. So if you've got an amplifier that hasn't got an effects loop and it hasn't got reverb, something like my divided by 13 RSA 23 over there, that's got no reverb and no effects loop, I can bring in other effects by plugging into the effects loop on the back of the Tube Amp Expander. Another feature of the Tube Amp Expander is that it's got amp control. So if you've got an amplifier with more than one channel and you want to change those channels, you can do so, one on the front of the Tube Amp Expander by pushing this button here. Or you can also use the Boss GAFC foot controller to control a lot of the parameters, including the amp control, which is one of the buttons on the front. You've got 10 different rigs that you can choose from, and again you can set all of the effects from all these different rigs to either just come out of the line out or just your guitar speaker or both. So for instance, if I switch to my rig 5, this is where I've got my dotted 8th note delay. And lastly, which I think is a really useful feature, is the solo EQ control, which you can control from the front of the Boss TAE or also from the GAFC foot controller. And this will bring in a completely separate EQ and boost, which you can either shape your sound with the EQ or just use it as a boost feature, which is how I like to do it. So I've set this for a plus 4 dB boost, so when I actually push the button on the GAFC foot controller, I can use that as my lead sound. If you've seen any other videos on this channel, you'll know what a fan I am of Loadbox attenuators. And if you haven't tried out the Boss Tube Amp Expander, I can highly recommend it, because it's one of those things that once you get your amp set up to its optimum level, you'll probably find, or you will find, that it's way too loud to be playing at home and sometimes even on stage. And what this enables you to do is to set those levels so your amp is at its optimum level, but you can control the amount of level that's either going to your cabinet or that's going to front of house. And also, if you want to get a really great tone recorded to your DAW, the Boss Tube Amp Expander will allow you to do that. You can also load in your own IRs to that as well. And if you want to get a really great sound going to front of house, again, you can do exactly the same thing with the Tube Amp Expander. Anyway, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. I really hope you guys got something out of this. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, click on the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.